So this past Sunday was Xbox's 2025 showcase, and to be honest with you, I thought it was a little lackluster. I didn't think it was bad by any means, but compared to the footage that they showed last year, I thought it was a little lacking, and that's a little disappointing. There were some games I definitely wanted to see that they did not show, like Perfect Dark, like Fable, but, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you don't always get what you want. But the one thing that they did show that really caught my attention was the leaked Xbox ROG Ally. Well, now it's no longer leaked. It's official. Xbox and Cerebon came out and they showed this thing off. And there was a whole bunch of behind-the-scene footage that they showed afterwards. And this thing really kind of blew the internet up once it was revealed. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are finding me for the very first time, please do me a favor. Hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to help build the channel. So yeah, this thing really caught my eye. I was doing a reaction to the showcase, and this thing just it blew out my expectations. There's so much I want to talk about when it comes to this thing, but the most important thing is that Xbox has kind of thrown their hat in the ring now. This is something that has been very much talked about very heavily, and now they're teaming up with Asus ROG Ally, and now what does this mean? So I am a massive fan of the Valve Steam Deck. Love the Steam Deck. I went from this, I kind of evolved, right? I went from the Switch to the Steam Deck, and now possibly this ROG Ally, because this thing just looks absolutely beast. It looks awesome, and I'm really looking forward to knowing more about it. I think that's the thing, right? I want to know more about this device. Now, the one thing I really liked about the Steam Deck was that you didn't have to deal with Windows or Linux or anything. Like, you turn this thing on, it goes right into Steam Big Picture mode, the Steam OS, and it feels like you're playing a console. Even though you can use this thing as a PC, it feels like a console. So someone who is not familiar with PC gaming can get this, and it's much like a Switch. You just turn it on and you can play it. And there's so many games that are compatible with this thing. I literally have hundreds upon hundreds of games on my Steam Deck. And what I really liked about the demonstration of the Xbox ROG Ally is that one of the biggest criticisms with the ROG Ally in the Lenovo Legion Go is that Windows is very clunky, right? You turn this thing on and it's like it's a PC in handheld mode. So you have to deal with all the stuff that comes with Windows. You have to deal with like going into the app, going into this app down, and the updates, and it was just very sloppy. And that was one of the reasons why I never invested in one of those machines. As much as I like being able to play my game on the big screen, and then when it's time to go to work or kind of time to go on a trip, I just take my device, whether it be the Steam Deck, it used to be the Switch, and I pack it up and I take it to work and I play it on my break or I play it on my trip or whatnot. I like the idea of having a dual console. It's a home console, but it's also a portable console. So I can always play my games because I'm always on the go. That's the one thing I like about these devices. So with the ROG Ally, it really appealed to me was, okay, this is going to be an Xbox machine powered by Windows, and you're going to be able to play GOG games, Steam games, and Xbox games natively. And from what I'm understanding, because there's not a whole lot of information about this device right now, a lot of influencers they were able to go out there and actually try this machine and everything like that. And from what I'm understanding, just from what I'm watching and reading on the internet, I've been trying to get as much information as I possibly can about this thing, is that when you turn this thing on, it's going to shoot right into Xbox, the Xbox app, right? You're not going to load into Windows, much like the Steam Deck. If you've turned on the Steam Decks, Linux is in the background. You have to go to the Steam button and go to desktop mode to even get into that. When you turn it on, it goes right into Steam. It's like a console. Just like if you turn on your Switch on, it goes right into the Nintendo Switch dashboard and you get to pick all your games. That's what Steam Deck does. So what I'm understanding from people's thoughts and first impressions is when you turn this thing on, you're going right into the Xbox app, right? You're not going into Windows. You're not going to any other program. You turn it on, boom, you're into the next Xbox OS. And from the Xbox OS, you can go into the other applications like Discord, Battle.net, Steam, GOG, all that stuff. And you can download all your Xbox games natively. That's going to be something that's going to be very curious to see how that's going to work, because I have a pretty big Xbox digital library. Not as big as Steam, because there's not as many sales as it is in Steam, but I have quite a bit of Xbox games digitally. I don't just rely on Game Pass. I actually buy games. And a lot of those games I can't play on other, like, I can't play it on PC, right? Like, so, like, if I bought a game and I go onto the Xbox app and I go into my library and there's like 2 games there, like Street of Rage 4 and Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, those are the only 2 games that transfer over. But like all my Dragon Ball Z games, all those games that I bought on my Xbox console, they're not play anywhere on my PC. So how's that going to work with the ROG Ally? Now, on the bright side of that thing, when it comes to the ROG Ally, the Xbox edition of the ROG Ally X here, is you have Steam. So I'll be able to play all the games on Game Pass, download them natively, download them through cloud, play remote play. You can do all that. Download natively, everything. And then I can also jump to GOG, which I have a pretty decent library over there. And then my biggest library, which is the Steam library, I can go over there and then download all the games that I have on Steam. And from what I'm understanding, you can do that all seamlessly through the Xbox OS app that automatically launches when you turn this thing on. To me, that's a game changer. That is something Microsoft said that they've been wanting to do with the next hardware for the Xbox. When the next Xbox comes out, they want to incorporate all that stuff onto the Xbox. And then if somehow Sarah Bond and the hardware team over at Microsoft managed to make a console that has a stripped down Windows 11 version that plays in the background that lets you play all these different games, this is a massive game changer for the future of console and handheld gaming. Can you imagine getting a console and I want to say, I don't mean this as negative as it sounds, a dumbed down PC to where it acts like a console, looks like a console, but it's really a PC in disguise, and you can have access to your Xbox library, Game Pass, Steam, GOG, Battle.net, all those things. That is a massive game changer in the video game industry. Much like how Steam has come out and Steam has made their OS available for everything, and then Lenovo Legion Go is adding their OS into the Legion Go. If Xbox can take their new Xbox OS and put that on ROG Ally and make that the key feature onto their next console, that really changes everything. This really, really changes everything. People that are hesitant to get into the PC gaming business will kind of get there easily, because there's a lot of people out there. I have friends who are hesitant to buy a gaming PC. They're like, I don't want a desk, I don't want that. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you don't need all that. You can just buy a gaming PC and hook it right up to your TV and just play it as a console. But a lot of people don't see it that way. They feel like you need to have like a desk and monitors and all that, and that's not necessarily the case. The Steam Deck changed my gaming habits forever. I went from just strictly console to Steam Deck, and now I am almost strictly all PC at this point. And then Microsoft does this with the ROG Ally X, and I'm like, man, this is really awesome. This is really awesome. I do have a lot of concerns. Like, I need to know more about the hardware, the software that works with it, what's compatible, what's not compatible, how are games going to run on this thing, what's going on with my library from my Xbox library, like what's going on with that, and more importantly, the pricing. What is the price of this thing? Because these things get kind of expensive. Like, is this thing going to be like $600 for the base unit, $800 for the X unit? Is this thing going to be $400 for the base unit, $600 for the X unit? There's just so many different questions, and it's really going to come down to the pricing and all that. This is for a very, very niche demographic. This is for like the niche gamer. This isn't for just the average gamer, right? This isn't something I'm just going to recommend for everybody. But if you are someone who likes the Switch and then kind of upgraded to the Steam Deck, and you're holding off on the Switch too because you're so like invested in the Steam Deck in the portable PC market like I am. I didn't get to Switch 2. I stuck with my Steam Deck, and the next thing I upgrade on is going to be something like this. And if this thing can come out with a reasonable price point and it works as well as Sarah Bond and the hardware team is trying to promote this thing to work, this is a massive game changer, not only for Xbox, but for PC gaming, handheld gaming, and the future of gaming. But it's all going to come down to whether or not this product works the way they are selling it, and if the price point is not so ridiculously expensive that people like me can actually afford to pick one up. But that is my thoughts on the Xbox handheld from ROG Ally. It definitely was the highlight of the show for me. It's something I'm very much looking forward to. I can't wait to see what Xbox is going to do with this thing, but I want to know what you guys think. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot, and I will catch you guys all next time.